This week, the red and blue pilots fly off, leaving the student pilot behind. Let's take a look.
I'm going to start with some stuff up here. If you look here, I have this point light, which I believe is left over from my lens flare from an earlier shot. It doesn't really do anything. All it does is probably slow down my render time. So sometimes you might want to pay attention to what you've got going on in your scene, unlike myself, and see if you've got extra stuff in there because it will slow down render times. I have a bunch of moons, some you can see, some you can't see. Once I created this little section of the world, I didn't change it much. So I left stuff in there that probably could have been deleted to speed up some render times. Now, let's look at some lighting here since we're talking about lights. I have two lights lighting up my X-Wings, and each have two keyframes. The camera has two keyframes. And you'll just notice they all track together here. That way everything moves together and is lit nicely. That's it for the lighting. The keyframes for the center X-Wing, he has three keyframes, probably to match. Yeah, he does a little wobble there as the other X-Wings fly off. I wanted to make it look like he's not a great pilot. Just a tiny little wobble to make him more interesting. And then we go back to these other two X-Wings, and they were simply a few keyframes to put them in different positions, to hold them there, and then turn them as they lean into their turn, and then turn sideways, and then get to their next keyframe and fly off. So if you look here, one X-Wing starts first, then the second X-Wing starts a little bit behind. They have more keyframes on that second X-Wing. I have them going up a little bit before they do their turn so they wouldn't crash into the student pilot. So there's a few more keyframes there. But that is how I keyframed the pilot's turn off. And you can see here I have a nice little curve to make it look smooth for this second X-Wing. The first X-Wing, I don't think I had a curve there, but it still looks decent. Yeah, those are some pretty linear lines, but it still looks okay. A little more robotic. But that is how I had the X-Wings fly off. Now, I could have possibly done follow path. I will do that in later episodes. At this time, I had only done it with Peekaboo PD, and it had been a while. So if I could accomplish something with just putting in some keyframes, that is what I would wind up doing. So that is how I have my two X-Wings fly off, leaving my student pilot behind.
Next week, the student pilot flies off. I built it two ways, and I'll show you which one I picked. I'll see you then.